Howdy, I'm Lindsay Gutierrez-Bates, a freshman agriculture science student. Today, I will be talking about how the Culex fatigans mosquito, also known as the southern house mosquito, and how it compares to the Aedes albopictus in being a threat to human society.
Howdy, I'm Daniel Hayworth. I'm a junior economics major here at A&M, and I'm going to be presenting you the full facts on the Aedes albopictus mosquito, also commonly known as the Asian tiger mosquito. The question presented before us today is which is the more dangerous mosquito between mine and my partner Lindsay's. And so I'm going to be presenting all the facts about why the Asian tiger mosquito is the more dangerous of the two.
Talking about mosquitoes makes me itch. Looking at the Culex fatigans, we find that it is a medium brown mosquito that lives throughout the tropics and in the lower latitudes of the temperate regions. In the United States, this fly resides in the south and throughout Florida. This mosquito is brown. The proboscis, thorax, and wings and tarsi are darker than the rest of the body. The head is a light brown color, with the center portion being the lightest. The antennae and the proboscis are about the same length. The flagellum and the has 13 segments that have little to no scales. The scales on the thorax are narrow and curved, and the abdomen is pale and narrow with round bands at the basal sides of each tergite. Recent studies indicate that the Culex fatigans originated in Southeast Asia and then became established in the New World through slave ships, and that is how it got to Africa. It spread to other parts of the world by ships. Some distinguishing features of the Culex fatigans include cross veins on narrow wings, a blunt abdomen, short palpus, and no pre-spiracular and post-spiracular setae. This mosquito is active at night and is a vector of many pathogens, several which impact humans, along with both domestic and wild animals. This mosquito carries St. Louis encephalitis, which is age-dependent and mainly affects older humans. Symptoms include flu-like and can range from fever and headaches to stiffness and confusion. After a few days, the brain may begin to swell, and that can lead to a person feeling extreme sleepiness along with mood swings. Although this mosquito isn't really considered to be a vector for West Nile virus, it does help to maintain the virus within the bird population and may transfer it to humans. It is also responsible for spreading the filarial nematode, Wucheria bancrofti, and Rift Valley fever virus. These viruses have led to major epidemics in Africa and Asia. Due to this mosquito being a vector for so many diseases, it is the most dangerous of the two mosquitoes.
The Asian tiger mosquito is a medium-sized mosquito with a distinctive silver scales, contrasting the black scales, which make it easily recognizable. The abdomen of these mosquitoes also narrows into a point, which is common of its genus. The Aedes albopictus migrated into the United States about 30 years ago from the Caribbean and indirectly from Asia, where it was originally found, and is now common in almost all regions of the world that are tropical or subtropical. The species has grown rapidly in recent years, expanding to the southern and eastern region of the United States most heavily. The mosquito typically resides in urban and suburban areas. It lays eggs in common areas of standing water such as puddles, pet watering dishes, drainage dishes, and creeks and streams. A study was done on females of the species residing in urban Central Africa that shows that it actually prefers feeding on humans rather than on mammals, which is going to be important for why it's so dangerous, because it ups the transmission of human-to-human viruses. This has proven worrisome when coupled with its rapid growth, and we've seen its ability to spread human-to-human viruses rapidly in the real world as it grows on various continents. It's currently considered by many to be the most invasive species of mosquito, as it is spread to every continent except Antarctica. The Asian tiger mosquito is a vector of many viruses, but most commonly it's a vector of the Zika virus, the Dengue, and the Chikungunya virus. I didn't pronounce that right, but it's also known to carry the West Nile virus and multiple strands of encephalitis. It primarily affects societies through the spread of disease to humans, but its non-urban and suburban areas, it can also heavily affect equestrian creatures, harming and killing livestock. The Dengue or breakbone virus is treatable in the United States, but it can commonly kill people in third world countries where medical care is not super available. So its ability to spread disease and viruses rapidly and heavily invasively makes the Aedes albopictus the far.
I appreciate how informative that was. It really seems like you know what you're talking about. I didn't delve into too much detail earlier about my mosquito. about how my mosquito is a vector of filarial nematode Bacteria bancrofti, but this can also cause a lymphatic filariasis, which can lead to abnormal enlargement of body parts. This could be painful and lead to stiff body parts, but there's also social stigma that follows this as well. It may not be as deadly as some ear diseases, but this could completely affect a social life, which in this day and age is held up to a very high regard. True, this doesn't affect people in America. We can't ignore the effect of people in Africa and Asia. Another virus not mentioned was Rift Valley fever, which again is not as deadly as the viruses carried by the Aedes albopictus, but it can cause permanent loss of vision, loss of memory, convulsions, and even a coma. If this person is to contract the hemorrhage fever form, death is a 50-50 possibility. This mosquito can cause some serious damage.
Yeah.
It's true that my partner's mosquito carries both the West Nile and the St. Louis encephalitis viruses, also commonly known as the SLE virus, but that hardly has an effect in comparison to the Asian tiger mosquito for a couple of reasons. First of all, my mosquito also transmits the West Nile virus, so that makes it a moot point between the two. And when it comes to the SLE virus, that virus is only highly dangerous to those who have a much weaker immune system than typical to begin with, such as the very young and the very old. Contrast this with the Aedes albopictus mosquito, or the Asian tiger mosquito, which carries West Nile, multiple strands of encephalitis, as well as the often lethal and excruciatingly painful dengue virus, along with less dangerous but heavily transmittable chikungunya virus, and you can see which one you'd rather deal with. The dangers presented by the Asian tiger mosquito in terms of comparing virus to virus clearly show that my mosquito is more likely to give you a deadly, or at least very uncomfortable virus or disease. In short, disease versus disease, my mosquito wins out.
Daniel, you mentioned earlier that your mosquito has some unique characteristics to it. By being able to tell this mosquito apart from others, whereas mine is just the typical house mosquito, in which many people don't really think about having in their house. People who are informed about what Aedes albopictus looks like will likely be able to make more of an effort to kill it, rather than thinking it's not a big deal. Coming back to how the Aedes albopictus also feeds on many animals along with humans, the infection rate in humans is lower than if we were only feeding on humans.
While my partner's does an excellent job of showing the dangers associated with her mosquito, I still stand by mine as a more impactful and dangerous mosquito. Yet another reason hers is less dangerous than the Asian tiger mosquito is that it primarily transmits them from bird to bird and other lesser species. This couples with the fact that humans are considered a dead-end host of the virus it most commonly gives to mankind anyway, making it much less dangerous to society as a whole. So let's reiterate what makes the Aedes albopictus such a gnarly beast to begin with. The likelihood is that you recognize it as a striped-looking mosquito that someone lands on your arm. But what you likely don't recognize is that this mosquito is on the list of not just top 100 most invasive mosquitoes, but top 100 most invasive insects in the entire world. Recognize too that this mosquito commonly spreads viruses from human to human, meaning that it takes a virus that one human has and infects another with it. At such a rapidly invasive rate, this poses a tremendous societal threat, as it can not only spread not only known viruses, but it's a prime vector for future and possibly more deadly viruses. In short, this mosquito is more dangerous not just because of its extremely invasive presence, but because of the potential threat that presence can cause for the future.
Your mosquito is invasive, yes, but Culex fatigans has predilection for many urban environments and feeds on humans indoors as well as outdoors. We seriously can't escape them. Seriously, how many people think about wearing bug spray while they are inside their house? I know that I don't. Worst of all, this little guy is nocturnal, and so it preys on us while we're sleeping. We aren't safe from the bites inside our own homes, and that can lead to more people getting infected with the viruses without even being aware that they were attacked. This predator of the night has made me think twice about when I apply bug spray and is the most dangerous mosquito.
Yeah.
To wrap up, let's review the points about why the Asian tiger mosquito is a more dangerous mosquito. First of all, we've encountered how both mosquitoes carry viruses, but the deadliest one carried by opposing Culex fatigans mosquito is also carried by my mosquito. So when we compare the other transmission dangers and find that my mosquito also commonly carries other viruses, one of the ones which is most named for, the dengues, can often be lethal. Basically, if you do not have the first world medical care available, you are likely to be in a bad situation if you're infected with this. Compare that to her next most deadly transmission, which is only rarely deadly, and you'll only ever to those with already weak immune systems, and we see that you would rather encounter one of her mosquitoes than one of mine. Secondly, the deadliest part about the Asian tiger mosquito is that it's extremely invasive and spreading rapidly. To quickly transmit human-to-human viruses and pathogens, it has spread to every continent except Antarctica in relatively recent years. This poses it in prime position to carry the next deadly outbreak almost anywhere in the world. So even if it were not currently the deadliest of the two to humans, it is definitely the most dangerous sheerly because of the potential threat that it constantly poses. All in all, I think it's safe to conclude that the most dangerous threat we face here is the Aedes albopictus, or the Asian tiger mosquito.